What's up, everybody? How is it going? Austin prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Happy Friday. Happy freaking Friday, everybody. Let's jump into today's topic. As you're tuning in, when you're watching, feel free to drop a like. Let me know that you're watching. Drop a comment. If you watch this hashtag replay, let me know your number one takeaway. But, guys, today I'm going to be talking about um, something that I think a lot of people who haven't started a fitness journey yet, or have been like debating, or been on the fence, or they're like, like I they're always like, I want to start a fitness journey, but it's so expensive, or I want to start a fitness journey, but I can't like afford it, or whatever it may be. It's one of those things that it always not didn't necessarily like bottle or boggle my mind, but it's one of those things that's like people oftentimes use that as like such a like quick response like excuse as to why they can't start. And here to tell you guys, like a fitness journey doesn't have to be super fucking expensive. Quite honestly, kind of oddly enough, it's kind of weird, but it's actually in a lot of ways, depending on how you're going about it, it can be cheaper to be on a fitness journey, a sustainable fitness journey, than it is to just go about like living your life as you are right now. Because a lot of times people will say like, I want to start a fitness journey, I want to lose weight, I want to do whatever, but I can't afford it, right? And the harsh reality is that like for a very 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 small percentage of the population, in America at least, and other countries too, right? Like can't afford it, right? They're barely of trying. They're just trying to survive. They're just trying to like live. But for the vast majority of people out there, a lot of us are spending money on stupid shit that we don't necessarily need, but we want, right? And we like to have, or we've grown accustomed to having, or we've been conditioned to have, whatever way you want to look at it. And a lot of times, so today I'm going to be talking about, guys, is like I'm going to kind of like break that like train of thought, or break that like idea down, and tell you like it's not true. Like anybody can afford a fitness journey in some way or another. Like you can. It's just a matter of how bad you want it, and it's just a matter of what you're willing to give up, in order to gain in these other areas of your life, so that way you can, it just comes down to making it a priority or not, right? It just comes down to making it a priority or not. So it's like a matter of what's a priority to you, and what you're willing to give up to make room for other things that would be conducive towards your goals, whether that's weight loss, or to build muscle, or to like lose fat, right? So yeah, so if you can afford, right, and this is, and let me know like if this is you, if you can afford to go on vacations, right, if you can afford to go on trips, to go fly somewhere, to go to like an amusement park, if you can afford to like go on a trip somewhere, guess what, you can fucking afford a fitness journey, right? You can afford a fitness journey. You don't need to spend that money to go on a trip somewhere, right? You don't need that. If you can afford, like fast food, guess what? You can afford healthy food too. They've actually done a lot of studies that have shown that like comparatively, like cooking at home, or like meal prepping, or cooking in bulk, and buying like meat, potatoes, like other like root vegetables like carrots and things like that, like it's cheaper to cook at home than it is to eat fast food. It is. It's almost like I think it's anywhere from like 1.5 to like 3 times more expensive per month to buy fast food and to eat out. Even if it's like fast food like McDonald's, than it is to cook at home. Like I bought my kid a fucking Happy Meal the other day from McDonald's. It was $5. $5. You know how much like fucking chick. You can almost buy like 4 pounds of chicken breast, from like Kroger or Fred Meyer when it's on sale for $5. That's a lot of fucking meat and protein. You could buy, hell, if you bought half of that, that's 2 pounds of chicken, and you could buy like a bag of like a 4 pound bag of I don't know how much a bag of potatoes weighs actually, but like you buy like a 4 or like 8 or 10 pound bag of potatoes for like a couple bucks, right? Rather than buy that Happy Meal. That's a lot of fucking food. And guess what? Those foods are going to be a lot more like, conducive to your goals than that Happy Meal or that fast food. That's just for like my toddler. Not let alone how much it would cost, take the whole family out to eat to like McDonald's or whatever it may be. Like healthy food is not like the like popular like extremely uh out there like things that you see like at like Whole Foods and shit, like organic shit, like that's expensive as fuck. But it's not like, and I've already talked about it before, but like organic food's no better for you than non-organic is. It's just not. And so, I've done a video breaking out all that down. If you want to challenge me on that, or if you want to like learn more about that, feel free to. But you don't have to eat like the healthy fucking like random like acai bowls and like berries and shit that they found in the Himalayas that they have at Whole Foods for like $10 a pound. It's like you don't have to buy that shit. Like you can get an amazing and respectable and like incredible physique, or get to your like weight loss goals or whatever it may be, like eating potatoes and chicken and like other fruits and vegetables that aren't like $1 million a pound. Like you can do that very easily and very affordably and sustainably. Like you can do that. Like you can. And so eating healthy, like, doesn't have to be expensive, right? So that kind of goes with that. So if you can afford fast food and you can afford to go eat out like a couple times a week or even one time a week, fuck, you can afford a fitness journey, right? Um, if you want to have a gym membership, fuck man, like gym memberships are cheaper than they ever have been nowadays. Like you can, depending on what you do, like you don't even have to work out at a gym either. But if you can afford to like you can afford a gym membership, right? Like you can go to Planet Fitness for like $10 a month. Like that's pretty damn cheap. Guess what? Guess what else costs like $10 a month? Actually more. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, things like that. You don't need those things. Those things are actually not super conducive to your goals because guess what? You're probably going to be sitting on your butt watching TV a lot more often in the evenings rather than having that gym membership there, right? Like if you can afford like streaming services and things like that, you can afford a fitness journey. If you're somebody who gets their nails done on a monthly or or like every other month basis, if you go get your hair done or dyed, if you get makeup, right? You can afford a fucking fitness journey. That shit's expensive. Those things add up a lot. And I see people all the time. They're like I've actually had people where and it comes in a lot of ways. It's like realizing that you're spending all that money on those like random things to like be like, oh shit, like I guess I can afford it. Like I didn't realize like I was spending that much money on everything. It comes down to like money management, right? But like I hear people. I've had people that I've talked to that in the past that have just been like, like I can't afford a fitness journey, or like I don't want to do it because I just don't have the money right now and things like that. I'm not even talking about just like working with me. Like I'm talking about in general too. And then guess what? Next week they're getting a new fucking tattoo, or next week they're buying video games, or they bought a game system or whatever it may be, and it's like oh, okay. Like I thought that you didn't have money for a fitness journey, but you got money for fucking video games. You got money for makeup. You got money to go on that trip somewhere. It's like where are your fucking priorities right now? Don't like lie to yourself about how bad you want something, and then you have this like excuse, right? Or you have this reason, and then you literally disprove that reason like a week later, a couple of days later, right? So it's not that you want it, right? It's that you like you. It's not that you want it. Like you're lying to yourself about it being like truly being a priority. I see a comment here. So glad I got the chance to invest in myself. Exactly, and that's the thing too. Is like it's an investment in yourself, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because I kind of that's a good segue um, into this next thing that I was going to talk about, and it's like um, people don't. It's crazy. People like will invest in themselves in such a short term, like instant gratification way on the daily fucking basis, right? Like we spend money on ourselves, like Starbucks. Oh, I'm gonna go get that Starbucks. That sounds good. Expensive as shit, right? It's expensive. Starbucks is expensive for most people, you know. Or you'll go get your hair done, or you'll go out to a movie, or you'll go out to eat somewhere, or whatever it may be. Because in the moment you're just so used to doing that for since who knows how long. Maybe you went to go out with your parents all the time. That's what you guys would do. Maybe you would go like that's what I would do. Would go out to eat. Things like that where you're conditioned from growing up that way to spend money on those things. Like that's just the norm. That's just what we do, right? But so many people, those things are so temporary. Those things are so short term. Those things are so like just like quick dopamine. I get that. That's mine. I want like I get it. Like I want to feel good now, but they won't invest in themselves for the long fucking term. They won't invest in themselves. They can't see, or they won't let themselves see, or they don't know how to see like the bigger picture here. That if you invest in that gym membership, you invest in that coach, you invest in those healthy foods now, fuck, it's gonna pay off so much more in the future, like long term, than any of those short term things ever would have. You're overvaluing this temporary happiness from these like non essentials versus the things that are actually going to make you happy for a long time, for the long term, that's going to change your life. Mindset wise, physically, confidence wise, health wise. You can. There's that quote that I've referred to back in the past. I don't want to mess this up, but it's like you can take your food. You can take your food as medicine now, or your medicine is food later, right? Like you can be healthy now and do all the things that you're supposed to be doing to make sure that you're like feeling like you're living a healthier lifestyle and making it sustainable for yourself now, or you're going to spend a fuck ton of money on getting surgery, on like who the fuck else knows what, like treatment, maybe insulin if you become diabetic or whatever it may be, like, like pills and medications that you're going to have to take for like your blood pressure and things like that. Like people don't think about that shit. Like they're like, oh, like that food is, which isn't even true. They're like, oh, that food's more expensive, or oh, that gym membership is expensive. But like, you know what the fuck else is expensive? Like I mean, dying young, like having a shit ton of medical bills, like, not having more, like, the extra like 10, 15, 20 years that you could have had in life to live and be with your family and your kids and things like that. Like, that shit's expensive too. And not just both monetarily and also, um, like time wise, right? Like in other ways, more than just monetarily. That shit's expensive, right? And it's taxing, right? Happy Friday, John. How's it going, man? How's it going? And so, it comes down to like also like, you know, um, like I said, that temporary versus long term happiness. Like people like fail to like recognize that they're doing this to themselves, or they know that they're doing it, and they're like, they don't have like the will or the desire to like, or like they're not, it's not a priority to them, right? And so they're like, I'm gonna spend all this money on all this random bullshit that I don't actually need, but I like and I want more than I actually want to be healthy, and more than I want to actually be fit, and more than I want to actually have these long-term solutions that are going to actually like fucking solve and fix all my problems. But instead, I'm going to put a band-aid on it with getting my nails done. I'm gonna put a band-aid on it by getting that Starbucks. I'm gonna put a nail on a band-aid on it, buying that video game, and numbing my like playing a mind-numbingly amount of video games just to like get away and escape, right? Like I've been there, right? I've been there. I know. And so it comes down to priorities, though. It comes down to right now, if you're one of those people and you're listening to this and you're like, shit, like I do spend a lot of money on random shit that I don't need. I spend a lot of money on things and I'm complaining about how I'm not healthy or I'm not fit or I'm struggling right now or like I can't afford it. Like you're not willing to give up your current things right now, right? With your current identity, right? You're not willing to give that up. You're making these non-essentials a priority, right? Instead of making the things a priority that this new identity that you're seeking out and that you're wanting, right? You're wanting, or you're saying that you're wanting, anyways. And in, in, instead of investing in those things that are associated with your new identity, you like guys, like you know, every choice that we make, everything that we like spend our money on, everything that we do or say, and act upon, it's either taking you closer to your goals or it's taking you further away from your goals, right? And I think that it's fine sometimes, like to indulge in things, right? I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever fucking spend money on yourself in like a fun way, but a lot of times you guys need to start thinking about like investing in yourself, like for like a longer term period of time. Investing in your health, investing in your future, investing in like the things that are going to bring you closer to your goals and help you um, become closer to like stepping into that new identity that you so badly say that you want to become, right? And so it comes down to priorities, though, right? It comes down to first of all, it comes down to recognizing that you're fucking up and doing it in the first place, and like recognize that you're like not actually making, and you're it's like the whole like actions speak louder than words, right? Like you're saying that you want this, but then you're doing something completely different. It's like identifying that that's what you're doing in the first place, and then it's making a conscious decision to actually do something about it, and then to actually make your shit a priority, right? That's how this all like this starts and this begins and then and gets you to that point, right? It's that conscious decision to actually fucking like make it a priority. So stop prioritizing short term like gains, right? Stop prioritizing that like that retail therapy when you're stressed out. Stop like prioritizing these non essentials that are honestly probably taking you further away from your goals in the long term. And stop saying that you can't afford a fitness journey. Everybody that's living in like almost everybody that's living in the United States, like if you can afford to be at a place of being unhealthy, right? As long as you're not malnourished, right? Like that's something that's kind of like a that's a special like situation, right? If you can't afford food and you're malnourished, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about this to you guys if that's something that's going on right now. But if you can afford to be unhealthy, right? If you can afford to be unhealthy or to be like overweight or to be like to do all these things, like if you can afford to do that, you can afford to be healthy. You can afford to be on a fitness journey. And there's ways to figure it out. Like I said, chicken is fucking cheap as hell. Potatoes are cheap as hell. Certain bananas are cheap as hell. Like there's all these foods that are like really good for you, micronutrient dense, that can have help you hit your calories and macros. That doesn't have to be fucking organic or like whole food, like the poster child of whole foods. Like you know what I mean? Like you don't have to like be consuming that shit. Like and if you have an understanding of nutrition, um, then you'll recognize that, right? But a lot of people don't, and so they think that they have to spend money on the expensive ass kale and other bullshit when they don't actually have to. When they could just pay for like cheap chicken, potatoes, carrots, bananas, things like that, and still reach their goals, right? Like you don't have to spend money on baby spinach, that was like raised by a fucking Nepalese like monk or some shit, like from Whole Foods. Like you don't need to pay for that shit to be healthy. Like you don't. And just having that like and recognizing that like if you can afford to be unhealthy, you can afford to be healthy. Like that I think that should be the number one takeaway here is like if you can, you can afford the other one too. But a lot of it comes down to like just like acknowledging that and looking into it and maybe you have to do your own little bit of research on like figuring out when the sale's going on at like Kroger or whatever it may be. Like I was a broke ass college student. I've been there. Like I I've definitely been there. I remember, you know, I would go and I would buy like shit. I would buy like 10 pounds of chicken and have half of it in my fridge and then the other half in my freezer because and I would like either like crock pot that shit or I'd bake it or whatever it may be because and I would always wait for the sales to buy the other stuff because I like I was too broke to like fucking afford to be able to do it. But we made it work. We made it happen. Anyways, just because my goals fucking mattered, and I didn't get to buy like Doritos and things like that. Maybe like I would have wanted to, or those other like snacks and things like that, or maybe like I wouldn't get like the Halo Top ice cream because that might be a little pricey at that time or something like that. But I would get the essentials to make my goals happen. So you guys like you can afford it, right? Like and I was doing when that was going on, like I mean I was only making like shit probably I man and like that's with like loan payments and like apartment and shit like that. Like I was living off of like a 15 to like 18 like grand like a year fucking like grad school like whatever the fuck you want to call it like stipend, right? Like I was making that shit work even with all that other shit going on, living off of just that. Like and it sucked and it wasn't the best and like but we make our goals a priority, right? We make our goals a priority based on what matters to us. I didn't have I didn't have Netflix, I didn't have Hulu, I didn't have any of that shit. I didn't have Prime, I didn't have any of that stuff. I didn't have, I wasn't, overindulging. I maybe go out with my friends a couple times, every other week, or like at colleges too. Like, everything's cheaper at bars. But we would, you got to be smart with your money if you want to be somebody who is making this a priority. If you want to make your fitness and health a priority, because you can do it. If you can afford to be unhealthy, you can afford to be healthy. That's the truth of the matter. And if you're in disbelief about that, you're just going to continue to be in disbelief, and you're never going to reach your goals. Or you can get your head out of your butt and you can like listen and actually, fucking do something about it, right? Like, you can be healthy. Don't tell yourself that you can't be, because you absolutely fucking can. It is absolutely possible, and it's totally doable, guys. So, yeah, cool. Other than that, that's all I really want to talk about, guys. Is just to be like, if you're somebody, or somebody who's always using that excuse, is that I can't afford a fitness, or I can't afford to be healthy. You sure as fuck can. And if you can't afford to be healthy right now, you're gonna sure as hell not gonna you're not gonna be able to afford to be like healthy whenever you're even older, right? And when it's even worse, because your health is like, like failing you basically. So, not to be morbid or anything like that, but I'm here to tell you guys what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So, other than that, guys, happy Friday. Hope you have a good ass rest of your day. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let me know your number one takeaway in the comments of the video. If you're watching this at a later time, hashtag replay. Feel free to tag somebody, share this. Might help somebody out. Other than that, though, like I said, TGIF, everybody, and I will talk to you all later. Peace, guys.